Okay, morning all. Let me just get an idea of between 1520, 1630 who is in the room, so that we can just, according to that, go on with the session. You can just type in the chat. Then also you will see that I've posted the attendance register in the chat. So if you can just complete that as we go along. But let me just quickly see 1520 or 1630. And another question, if you can hear me actually. If you can just give me a thumbs up that you can hear me, that is also good.
No,
Okay,
Sean,
cool.
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Okay, so even if you unmute and say 1520 or 1630, that is also fine. Okay, cool. 1520. Okay. And that was the plan this morning as well, that the first hour we concentrate on 1520. And the second hour, so from 9 to 10, we'll focus on 1520. From 10 to 11 on 6050. So that, because it is a bit different, the two the two areas. But if you want to sit in both, that's also not a problem. I think there's a lot of these things when I even now prepared for this week, between these two subjects, between QMI, between stats, there's a lot of overlap on certain topics. So also feel free, if you want to stay. But we'll probably up until 10 focus on the 1520 work. Then also just some admin. I'll do it with both groups, because I see the group is growing a bit from last week. Is that there is a WhatsApp group for this. So please just send me a WhatsApp with the top, or with the subject that you're part of. So if you're 1520, send me a WhatsApp, just say, please add me to 1520. If you're 6050, you can do the same. If you want to book any extra consultations, so if you want to book any 30 minutes during the week that we can just focus on a specific problem that you have, a specific topic or anything like that, please use this UNISA email of mine. And the days that currently I'm open for things like this is Mondays between, let's say, 5 and 7, and Wednesdays the same, between 5 and 7. And that's in the evening, and we can then book a 30-minute that we focus on a topic that you have. And for other two emails, you can also just use for anything else that you want to ask me. Okay, so let's get in the session today. This is part of nearly your exam prep, because I think you have like a week or two left for your last assignment. So I thought let's start from the beginning, get enough exam prep in, work through the things that's in your study guide, and then the last session or two, and we can create a few extra sessions during the week as well, later to prepare for the exam. If you have an exam date, whenever you have that, you can just let me know as well, because I think that will also be great to get that. Um, I've already started the recording, so the recordings will also be available um, sometime early next week for you to go through. Okay, so I think you guys have nearly gone through all of the work because it was part of the assessments that you needed to do. So I just want to focus on a few things. I have included in the slide some previous assignments when I was also still a e-tutor for this. So you will see it's actually printed assignments and not online. But basically what you did in study unit 2 is you focused on linear functions. So and a linear function in this instance was nearly anything that, as you can see, it's load shedding. I'm a bit slow on this side, my computer, but the linear function was any function that you can call a straight line, basically. The things that you guys focused on in this one is basically you looked at, okay, cool, 23 May. That is basically in a month's time. Okay. So we will run through this very quickly, Robin. Thanks for that. And then also I will get some time for us during some of the weeks as well to start focusing on extra exam prep. Yeah, that's basically tomorrow in a month's time. Okay, so we will we will make sure that we get through these things quickly and get to the prep. Okay, so you basically looked at demand and supply as a type of linear function. Other ones are also, if you look at revenue, cost, profit, it's sometimes not in a description of or in a diagram of a linear function, but when you look at it, it normally is written as a linear function. So we will get to some of those examples as well, but it's sometimes rather been written as a linear function, which basically is just represented in that in any case. So let's go to the next one. So the things that you nearly needed to focus on, I'll send all of this as well. I've also got um, a or not a PDF that I've created with um, the formulas that you will need to know. Again, I think, are you writing? Have I said anything about open book or not? But I will give you a one paper with formulas that you can or print or keep, so that, yes, Robin, just chip in.
Sorry, Jean. Morning.
Morning.
So the date is preliminary. They haven't
Okay,
finalized the dates yet. So it is possible it'll still change. We haven't
okay,
had any communication about the exam yet.
okay.
So I imagine that they first need us to finish all our assignments, which I think the last one would be the 5th of May or 4th
Yeah,
of May, I think.
I think it's just
And
around the
then
corner after that long weekend.
yeah, and then they can finalize who's been admitted to the exam and who hasn't, and then
Okay,
communicate. So I'm
okay,
not sure where we're at.
okay, perfect. So I think with that in mind, but I will definitely, they normally don't make the exam date earlier than first communicated. But let's work towards the 23rd. I'll also share with you the formula page that I have, so that you at least have it. I'll make notes on it as well. So it's not just going to be formulas. It will be, like I would say, TC means total cost, FC means fixed cost, VC. Yeah, you can see I'm having lots of problems. Hopefully the 10 o'clock I'm back on power. VC means variable cost. And then you can also see in this diagram what normally is happening is that part nearly is your fixed cost, and that part is your variable cost. So, so when you, and I don't know if I have, but let's say they say your total cost is equal to um, your variable cost plus a fixed cost of 20. Then that is actually where you will start off. That diagram is at that fixed cost of 20. So that will be then nearly where you will start off. That is also, if we look at maths and things, what they call the y-intercept. So that would have been, if we look at the normal maths equation, would have been that c value, the y-intercept when x is 0. So that's just tying it back nearly to the maths part. Stop me whenever I need to repeat something. I think this is important with questions in your. You would have had these types of questions in the assignments already, but with prepping for the exam, I think it's also quite important. Um, how you work out your variable cost, they will always give you a quantity and how much a unit cost, or how much a certain number of units cost. So they will always need to give you, say you producing 20 chairs, it costs you 50 rand a chair, so that you can work out the variable cost. I think what is also important, and I try to say this every time, is you, when you get to some of these functions, just make sure. So when they're talking about costing, and at some point how many, it can be that they ask you how many units you need to complete for something to break even. So we'll get to that break even point as well. But think about it as, when you go into a shop, you will always, hopefully, always see a chair. You won't see a chair without a railing, or so when you get to a quantity that is, because we've worked it out with all the numbers, that is now suddenly 2.7 or 2.5, you always need to round it up to get to a number of units, because you can't produce something that is 2.5. So just make sure about that, because it can be something that they give you in the multiple options in the exam, where they say, okay, but you've got, and you worked it out as 2.6, and then they give you options of 2 and 3, so that you nearly need to decide which one. But always remember, even if it is 2.1, which is closer to 2, you can't put out onto the floor a 0.1 product, so you always need to nearly round it up to the nearest product. But that is just something that from previous experience on working on this. So basically revenue, cost, profit, and how we normally look at it is, and let me rather get to the next one, is how do you nearly calculate profit. So profit is calculated by looking at total revenue minus total cost. You can, and a simple example again is, if you're working, you've got the income to live, you've got expenses. Most of us have more expenses than income, so you take out some extra loans and things like that. But basically then, if your expenses are more than your income, you making a loss every month. If your income is more than your expenses, you make a profit. So profit is basically looking at all your incomes, taking away all your cost associated with that. But remember, with total cost, we also had that we said total cost was your variable cost plus your fixed cost. So again, they can tell you in a paper, instead of giving you total cost, they can tell you, well, my variable cost was 10 Rand per unit, my fixed cost was something, so that you first need to actually calculate the total revenue. So just remember that. I'll get to a example in the next slide. But basically, going back to the principle, profit, total revenue minus total cost. When that is equal to 0, that is when we say the company breaks even. So let's see if we can. So if total cost and total revenue is equal, there will be a break-even point. Okay, and that will be where the two crosses. So that's also something just for later on. When you are having more revenue than cost, we call it a profit. When unfortunately you have more cost than revenue, you're making a loss. Okay, we'll also get to some of those, break even, if you make profit, if you make loss, all of those things in one of the other chapters. And that's why I nearly wanted just to start at the first chapters, so that we can just work towards that. Okay, so here is a question. It was from way back before COVID, when we still had face-to-face classes, and we had printed assignments. So, and it might be that this was even in one of your assignments already, or it might be that it is still coming in the next assignment. So when you do the assignments, also keep this at hand. It might just be your lucky day that it is one of them. So what we're asking in this question is, if fixed costs are R4, okay, so let's go back to this one and write that down. So we have fixed cost of 4. We have a variable cost that we will also need to, variable cost per unit are R1. So it's basically 1x, or let's use what they are using. Okay, why is that now suddenly not working? It was weird. That is really weird. Okay, so it might be with all the terrible systems that this is now struggling. Okay, so let me probably do that. And we use Q as in the other example. Okay, so for the demand function, we have this. But then for the other function, one can say, well, I'm sure it's going to blink out sometime soon. We got that. Are you happy that that is nearly the total cost function? Okay, cool. Okay, so what do we do now? What would you have done in this example? While you think, I'm just putting in the attendance register again, so just that you can click that. So what I would have done, I would have just said, okay, but here we've got the one P function, we've got the other one. They tell us break even point. So we can then say four plus Q is equal to this function, which is 10 minus 2Q. Let's hope it works out. I like to have all my positives on one side. So I'll move that over to that side. So I add on both sides plus 2Q. So 2Q on this side plus Q. If I add 2Q on this side, 2Q minus 2Q is 0. So that will fall away. On both sides, I will add minus 4. So minus 4 on this side, we'll take that away. Minus 4 on that side will make it 6. Does that sound right? Okay, somewhere. Okay, so that would have been 10 minus 4. Okay, something is not right here. Where did I make a mistake? I definitely made a mistake somewhere. Okay, so now you guys need to think, where did I make a mistake? If fixed costs are 4 rand, that is there. Variable costs per unit are 1 rand. Okay, where did I make my mistake? What are you guys saying? Where did I make the mistake?
Are we not trying to find the revenue function so that we can see where the break-even point is?
Okay, so I then only calculated.
Q in terms of the demand function.
Okay. Are you still seeing my screen?
No.
No, it's gone.
Okay, let me quickly, sorry. Is it back?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so what we have done is hope it goes better when power is back on. Okay, so we've basically done that at the moment. Are you guys happy with that? That is basically what we have calculated. We've calculated the demand function, and we've calculated, yeah, so happy that we actually did that at the moment. And we should have actually worked out the total. So let's quickly regroup that. Will I be able to now? And nobody's stopping me while I'm doing this. Please stop me while I'm making mistakes. Uh-huh. Okay, my system is very slow at the moment. Let's try and do it this way. Okay. Is there delay in you seeing what I'm also doing or not?
No, I think it's okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, so what should we have done? So they ask us, they give us the demand, they give us the supply, where P is the price per item and Q is the number of units produced in thousands. For what values Q does the firm break even? So we should have.
Should we not have done like get a profit function so that we can calculate total revenue? Because then we have to subtract total cost from that.
Okay, And how would you do that?
Well, P equals TR minus TC. TC is given as Q.
Okay.
No,
So you've
TC is fixed cost plus variable cost, sorry, which is our 4 minus Q.
so let me write that one down first. And let's just see if I can take that away again. That's going to be the easiest now to and not use the eraser. Okay, so that was your original function.
Yeah. So
So you're,
now,
yes,
so now we've essentially, so then you've got to put in the P function. Wait, do you put P in where it says P, and then you go the 10 minus TQ equals TR minus TC so that we can get the total revenue on the one
so
side.
would you have done that?
Not sure. I'm a little. It's very early in the morning. But I
Okay, so
feel like that's probably maybe what I would have done.
okay, and on this side you would have said total revenue. Do you know total revenue?
It's price per unit, so it's P times Q, is it not? It would be PQ. Ah, there we go. You don't actually need to put it in there then.
Okay,
There we
total
go. So
cost.
then you can, that's what I would have done. Sorry. Let's recap. So subtract the 10 minus TQ, take it out, erase that.
Uh-huh.
I would have put P times Q is total revenue minus TC, which would then be the 4 plus Q, sorry. And then sub in the P with the demand function that is given.
Okay.
I think that's what I would have done.
That
Into
would have
that.
into that. Yes.
Yes, that's what I would have done.
And when I now started talking about this is not really part of study unit 2 because it takes into account because this is not linear. Because this, if you put that in there, you are going to get 2 or minus 2q to the power
Squared.
of 2.
Accurate.
Which is then not, it's only in the next study unit that we do that. So this is, it's going to be a struggle today. So this is quite interesting and nearly why I wanted to add it to cause a bit of confusion, because it's, when you read it, it talks about everything that we've done now in these slides. It talks about your revenue, it talks about the profit, it talks about break even. So everything that we did up until now, it seems like this is fine. Until you're now going to work that out. So then if you work it out, and let's just put it in a nicer format. So you would have done this in any case in the next chapter. Okay, so let's multiply. So you will get minus 2q to the power of 2 plus 10q. Let's just add that one to that so that we get 11q and then minus 4. Okay, so
John, must it not be a minus q because the 4 plus q would that not be bracketed?
Thank you very much. So that would be that. It's early in the morning, like you say, but easy to make simple mistakes. Hopefully that would have not been one of the... Why doesn't it now want to cancel that out? Ew. Okay. Hopefully by later on today, my system will be much quicker. Okay, so that would have been still minus 2q2. 10 minus a q would give you 9. So that should be, let's just do that, should be 9 minus 4. Let's just quickly check again. That's that and that. Okay, happiness, that is correct. Feels like it. So the things that we will probably work with is, so what I then normally do to make it simpler, because this will be equal to 0, is to say I, again, don't like working with negatives in front of the one that you're actually going to work with. So I will multiply out by minus 1, so that you get to have 2q to the power of 2 minus 9q plus 4 is equal to 0. Then let's see if it actually does come out. If you put it in brackets, okay, it will be 2q times, or 2q times q will give you the 2q to the power of 2 minus 4, so that will give you 8. That will give you 1. If you add the 2 together, it will give you the 9 that you are looking for in the middle. That's minus 1. Okay, so if you multiply out 2q times q will give you the 2q2. 2q times minus 4 will give you the minus 8. Minus 1 times q gives you the 1q, so you get the minus 9q in the middle, and minus 1 times minus 4 will give you the 4. Okay, so now we sit with that. I like this one, so let's just is okay. Okay, so now we sit with that. So basically what we need to find out is what the value of q is. So when q is equal to 4, this thing will be equal to 0. So we know the one answer is q is equal to 4. When 2q minus 1 is equal to 0, again, everything will be 0. So with this one, I'm going to put it quickly here. 2q is equal to 1. So minus 1. Sorry, 1. I'm going to erase that now. So q will be a half. In here, they say 0.5. Okay, so there is our answer. Okay, what would you have been picked as your answer?
The answer number 1, 0.5 or 4.
Okay, and you would have been wrong.
Would I have been?
And so I just cool. So read the question again.
For what values of Q does the firm break even?
Okay, and just before that,
Number of units produced in thousands. Okay.
okay. So
Then
again,
500 or 4,000. Okay.
precisely. So
Rude.
please be on the lookout for things like that in the exam. They I don't want to say they love it. They really love it to put those things in. And unfortunate, yes, you've done exactly what you needed. You got the 0.5, you got the 4, you like, and that's the first option. So you like, chuffed, this is really what I have. But in thousands. So yeah, unfortunately, it would have been wrong, and your answer should have been with 500 and 400. So actually what we've done now is chapter 3, but the information that they give you is all coming from chapter 2. So in the exam as well, and you will see it now in your last assignment, because I think that covers everything. It is, you sometimes think that you're on the right path, and because everything makes sense on what was done in a certain chapter, and then there is sometimes the small curveball that they throw in. Okay, let's quickly just stop there. Are you guys happy with this, or not happy, but does it make sense? Is it adding value how we go through this? Is this how we must continue doing this, so that 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 you prepare like this for the exam? I would definitely always give a few of the, I don't want to say weird questions, but the ones that really need to that you need to look at, so that the ones that catches you out nearly. Because again, Robin, like you now went through this, everything made perfect sense. You spent, let's say, 5 minutes in the exam on it, and then it's just one thing small that created that you got it wrong, which I just want to nearly let, during these sessions, want to focus on some of those things for you guys as well. Okay, so let's, yes, question. So
Hi,
yes,
example. Because my understanding was we're trying to figure out break even, right? So that is where total cost is equal to total revenue.
okay, so how this, and I think that is why this should have been actually in the next chapter. So how this actually then looks like is, it will, and let's just get, this will be your, oh, come on, this will be your actually function. So it's not a linear function, it's a quadratic function.
Okay.
So that is,
Okay.
so that's where the difference now comes in. So you would, at that point, which is 0.5, you will have a break-even point. And at that point of 4, you will have a break-even point. So if you produce nearly between those two, you will make a loss, which is weird. And if you produce less than that, you will make a profit, and above that, you will make a profit. So it seems like with the fixed cost or something that is included, will be dependent then if you make a profit or not. But this is actually a quadratic equation, which will look different from your linear, and that's why it feels like we did wrong, but it's actually just a different equation. Happy with that?
Happy. Thank you.
Perfect. And I think that is really important in specifically in your last assignment, and then also in the exam. It's what I've seen with both 1520 and 1630. It's not like with stats that I normally do, is your questions are based from study unit 1. Your next question will be study unit 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and it go on like that. Yeah, with 1520, your first question might even be as last study unit. So it's nearly, there's no structure in your in combination with um, your study units. Okay, let me quickly just see. So again, we've nearly looked at this already. I just quickly want to. So we already nearly looked at something like this, where you look at total cost. So total cost is equal to fixed cost plus variable cost. They tell us the fixed cost. They tell us what the variable cost is. And they also give us a price, while the production cost per pie is, okay, there it is. We assume all the pies that are produced will be sold. Okay, so they go out with the assumption everything will be sold. So we've got total revenue as 25 Rand per pie. We've got the total cost as your 600 plus your 10,000, or 10 Rand per pie, sorry. And then you will work out what your profit Q will be. So I don't think there was a next one on this. So it would have been basically the 600 divided by 15. Okay. I think this might be in one of the study guides, but not 100% sure. Okay, let me quickly, there's just quick knock on the door. I'll be back in 1 minute. Okay, let's quickly look at demand and supply. Very similar. So sometimes, and the only reason I've added this is if they put it as a theoretical question, because you normally get one or two like those in the exam as well. And it's basically just to tell you what might affect demand, what might affect supply. Again, if it's open book, you have this, make copies, but
Jean, I think you're muted.
oh, sorry, I see. It's thanks. I've been talking and nothing, nothing. So, then just on how the demand and supply graphs look like. So, and what I just normally do, I just do something quick like this. What I would normally do is just say demand and supply. So also when it was the old way of writing your paper, I would nearly have just at the start draw quickly like that. But now the things are different. But this for me is always just the easy way so that I can know where to look at. If you have, and let's just quickly do something like this. So if that went through there, that went through there, that C is always looking at your y-intercept. Um, so I think that is just important again for things when you look at the demand or if you look at the supply function, nearly to see those kind of things. Because again, that will be some of the times your fixed cost component as well. So they can ask you, and between those two, so they can ask you nearly just give you a a, a slope, or they can give you a figure of a demand or supply function, and ask you by virtually of just showing what the intercept is, if you know what the fixed cost is. So I think that is also nearly just important to link. The one that is always the tricky one, the price elasticity. Hey, I could actually pronounce that now. It's always a trouble pronouncing that. The thing that I also like to nearly always show. So they've got all of these categories that they say, okay, if it is bigger than 1, or if it is smaller than 1 minus 1, then it is something. So what I normally do is I draw just a line for me, and then I would say, okay, so they tell me if it is minus 1, it is elastic, but let's just, so minus 1 is elastic. So all the way from there, plus 1 is elastic. When you in between the two, it is inelastic. And then there is probably the one that if it is specific minus 1 or plus 1, just say that is +1, then it is unit elastic. You very seldom get that. But so when you then get examples, and let me see where, okay, so that is coming later on. But when you then get a question with things that says minus 0.5 and it's elastic, you can nearly cancel that option out, because if it was minus 0.5, it could not be elastic. It is inelastic because it sits in that spectrum. So I think I just want to check if I had something like that somewhere, else we'll just cover it. Okay, so in here, so we'll do this next time, but so you can see here they said, okay, it's elastic, inelastic, inelastic. So we know from that line, if it is smaller than 1, it is elastic. So this one that is minus 8/15, it is not going to be smaller than -1. So when we look at the options, I can already eliminate that. When I look at, they say smaller than 1, so then we know if it is smaller than 1, it falls in this area, then it should be inelastic. So then I can take that out of the options that I would go for. So even without looking at anything, without looking at a formula, I nearly already now have identified that there's only 2 that is left for you to consider for your final answer in this question. So as we go along with these sessions, that is also nearly how I will nearly look at it and say to you, okay, but here's something that nearly remember this, how to look at certain things, just to cut down on your time that you are spending on the exam as well. Okay, we're nearly at 10, so let's end off with price elasticity, and again I'll show on that formula page the differences between price elasticity of the simple line of demand, but there's also price elasticity when we get to quadratic equations. So again, you will probably in the last assignment that covers everything, but also in your exam, you will probably get one of both. One on normal linear function that you have to do a price elasticity on, and one on a quadratic equation. Okay, so for the price elasticity of demand on a linear one, very important basically to look at the equation, and that's why it will go. That's why I included this, but there's also so you've got this one, but there's also another one that you can look at. So depending on what information they give you, you can use both. So what I've seen is I've actually, and it is in these that we will cover, I've included one of each, so that you can just see nearly how to approach it. So next time we will do that. But how I would then look at it is to see what information do they give me. So if they give me enough information to be able to use this one, I'll look at it. If they don't give me the B, then I will normally look at the other one, or I can calculate the B by something that they have given me. So sometimes they actually give you that, but you don't, that you can just go straight into this. Sometimes they give you just the quantity and the price that you will need to or use that one or exchange it into how to work out the minus B. But we'll get to that next time around. Okay, so we'll stop at price elasticity for this, and what is also important on price elasticity is there's one on demand, there's one on point of elasticity, so that is a specific point on the line. There's one, so I just quickly want to show you the differences. So the demand one, okay, so we've got one for the line. There's one that we can calculate the point. If the arc is basically, if they say that let's work it out for that area, so between the 2 points, that's why you will see we always reference with the 2 points. So, and then there's one for supply as well. Okay, so that's nearly the ones that one can cover under the simple line. Okay, so that is for 1520. That was a very quick recap up until price elasticity. If you want to stay on for 1630, you're welcome. We'll cover now in 1630 simple and compound regression interest rates, which you might also have in other subjects. I know I'm doing later this morning also that in QMI and one of the other subjects. So if you want to stay on for that, you can. If you want to drop off, you can. I'm giving nearly 2 minutes, and then we can start with a 1630. Any questions from 1520 students? Is this helping? Please stop me next time if I'm going too quick. Also, if you want to schedule one-on-one, so let me just, one can schedule with me sessions to cover a specific topic. So if you want to do that, you can just please send me an email for request to my UNISA email address. At the moment, times for that one-on-ones is Mondays between 5 and 7 in the afternoon and Wednesdays between 5 and 7. Any questions from 1520? Okay, then, yes, Robin.
No, I was going to say no questions and thank you.
Okay, is it helping?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. Okay, so next time we will continue, but I also think I will probably use some of those one-on-one sessions to maybe schedule with a group more time as we need for the exam. Hopefully the 1630 guys exam is not as early as the 1520. Okay, so let's start the next session at 10:10. And then we'll continue with 1630.
Just a point, John, I couldn't do your
Ah,
register again.
again, so same like last time. Then please just add the guys that couldn't do the register. Please add your um, student number in the chat, please. It's weird that it doesn't, from my side, want to do that.
Yeah, it keeps
I,
going into the Mimecast blocker, so I don't know what. There's must be some sort of like encryption on your link.
it is probably yeah, and you are logging in through your UNISA details or
Yeah,
not?
I did try put my
Okay.
Unisa details in, and I'm on a personal laptop now, so it shouldn't have. There's no firewalls or any blockers.
Okay, see, that's weird. Yeah, so no, I'll then just ask next time that Bronwyn adds it in before we start the session,
Mm.
because I think if yeah, no, so I'll just, so that is a concern, so let me sort that out. So
Yeah,
yeah, please for now just add the student numbers in. I'll make sure that we can then download that as a attendance register. Cool. Thanks for that,
thank,
Robin.
no problem. Thanks, John.
Okay, so let me get the 1630 session up. Okay, morning, guys. Some of you have been on here already since earlier. So we basically just now switching over to 1630, that we can get some time for you also to start exam prep, and nearly to you guys as well. Do you have any preliminary exam date already, or not yet? 'While you can type that for me. Okay, not yet. Then, like I told in the previous group, we've got, you can book one-on-one sessions with me by using the UNISA email. So all that you do, you tell me, John, I want to have a 30-minute chat on whatever topic you have, and then I'll send you a Teams invite. We've got at the moment Mondays 5 to 7 and Wednesdays 5 to 7. If those time slots become full very soon, then I will probably say, but let's add Fridays to it as well. Tuesdays and Thursdays at the moment is not possible, but maybe later on I'll open up the Tuesdays as well. But at the moment, Monday to Wednesday. Thank you. For the for the registration. The one I tried to paste in did not work. So yeah, so please see if you can complete that one. Mine had some firewalls issues, so I will try to sort that out in the week for the next sessions. Okay, so we're working with the assumption and idea that hopefully your exam is then not in May but early June. But again, so we'll structure this is I have outlined nearly your module. For today, we basically starting off with a simple compound interest and then the discount interest as well. I think that is a nice entry into the rest of the modules that, or the units that we need to cover. Obviously, when we get to the next few, we'll go into only 2nd July. Awesome. That for me is 2nd June, not July. Okay, I thought July. Just check for me if it is July or June, but July feels when it is already break time. But yeah, so your mock exam 4th of May. So that's also, if you can, it's online again. If you are, I know you're not allowed to take pictures or stuff like that, but I'm not going to say yes, do it, but if you can send me some of those, so that I can see what types of questions they are asking nowadays in the mock exam, it will be nice to just see that. And yeah, so let's, if you can, and then the guys that are not part of the WhatsApp group yet, please send me a WhatsApp and I'll add you to the group. I'm just quickly adding that as a separate one in the chat as well, so that we can also discuss on the WhatsApp group if there's issues. You can post certain questions on the WhatsApp group that I can also then maybe cover in the next sessions. Okay, so for today, what I also did is it is a summary pack that I will share on the UNISA notes site that you can also go and download. What I also normally do is I create a PDF of this and we'll send it onto onto our WhatsApp group as well. So yeah, I think again, like with the 1620, yes, maybe too much information in, but that's also fine. It is nearly giving you too much. You have it at hand so that when you prepare, when you do. Okay, thanks, Tabu, for that. Let me also test it. I could have opened for others, so it's just weird. Yeah, so I'm also again able to open this one. It's just weird. Maybe I have created with sending it from my side. Okay, cool. Okay, so what I would do, let me delete that first one as well. What I would do the next time is I'll just copy and paste this one. Then it will be there for you guys to click on next time as well. That's brilliant. Thanks, Caroline, for confirming. Okay, so let's go into nearly what we want to cover. So simple interest and discount. So we'll cover that. But also then we'll go into compound interest, and then some other areas within compound interest where you look at specifically things that I know that they loved to ask in the exam. So you can just after your mock exam also nearly confirm that, but continuous compounding is something that they really like. These odd periods also, and then they also always like to nearly throw in where you need to transform or nominal to effective or the other way around. And you will get a question on simple interest and a question on a normal compound interest. So there will be those questions as well. What I've seen is that when you prepare chapter 2, the simple interest, they normally ask one of the two, or they include one of the counting days. So probably 2 questions coming in your exam out of this one, and about 3 questions coming in your exam about this one. So also just to get a weighting for you when you're preparing the exam. When we go into simple interest, let's rather just go into more the detail. So sometimes they do throw in a theory question or two, and that is nearly why I just wanted to keep some of these things in, so that when you prepare, it might be that a theory question is coming from this. So that for me is just nearly important from that perspective, that we do cover some of the theory as well. What I will also do, the same that I'm doing on the 1520 side, is I will create a formula page for you, that you can keep at hand, that just covers most of the formulas that are important, so that we just make sure that you have that. So I will do that. So, and again, it won't be like sometimes you got in the exam where it just tells you or the thing that you will see is this. So I will tell you, okay, but your simple interest formula is that. And then when we get to compound, this is how the compound interest formula looks like. So that at least it's not just a group of formulas, but that there is some information with that. Okay, so let me quickly in here. I'm actually going to do example on just the simple interest, so that we can just get some exercise on it as well. And I'm actually just gonna in your study guide, if whenever you want to look at it, it's exercise 2.1. So I just want to nearly go through a question and see what we can use in it, what not, what we need to find out. So in exercise 2.1, calculate the simple interest. Okay, so that is the simple interest. And also they say the sum accumulated. Okay, so basically also what they, when they ask for the sum accumulated, it's basically the value that you put in, that you started off with, plus your interest. And there's also a formula for that. So we will use that formula as well. And you will see the formula is very much in line nearly with what is written as how to calculate the interest. Okay, so that is going to be your two formulas. Sorry, that's supposed to be a S. Let me just that over so that a bit better. Okay, so they tell us, and as I go through it, what I like to do, and when we get to use the calculators, I'll also nearly do that, is just to write the information that they give me in terms of some of these symbols and equations. So they say calculate the simple interest and the sum accumulated for 5,000 Rand. So we know that the principal or the number that we start off with is 5,000. So we have that. We have that sorted out. Borrowed for 90 days, 90. So there we have 90 days. Okay, that is weird. So I will definitely need to restart with the next session to get this sorted out. This is not cool. That is going to be too big. Okay, perfect. There we back again. Okay, so they give us the 90 days. We can work that out now, but we've got our term. And then they tell us interest of 15%. Okay, so we've got the interest rate of 15%. Okay, so we've got that sorted out. So to work out the interest, all that we could have said is 5,000 times the interest rate, which is 15%, which is 15 over 100. Times the time period. They tell us 90 days. So if they don't say what your year period is, you take it as 365, because we now need to find out how big or how long that 90 days is in comparison to the year. So we will divide by 365. Sometimes they tell you in the question that we're working with a 360-day year. So then you work with 360, but else it is 365. Let me think, what else can they add to this question that might be confusing or might try to catch you out. I don't think there's anything else nearly. And then you can work out the interest. So the interest will then, let me just go to my calculator, will be 15 divided by 100 times 5,000. And then you get times the 90 divided by 365. So I get that the interest is 184.93. So what you could have done then when they said, okay, but we need to work out the second part, the accumulated, without nearly using that formula, you could have just said, okay, but my interest is that I add 5,000 to it, and then that is 5184.93, and that is my accumulated number. Okay, so that could have been the way that you also could get to the accumulative number, but else we can also, if they have just asked you to work out the accumulative number, we would have just said, okay, let's populate that formula without working out the interest. Let's populate that. Interest rate is still 15 over 100, and the time was 90 over 365. Okay, so we would have worked that out. So let's just that. I'm going to keep a 1 there first. So then we would have just said, okay, 15 divided by 100 is 0.15 times the 90 divided by 365. 0.036, and it continues. So if we plus that by 1 and we multiply that by 5,000, you will also get the answer of 5184.93. Okay, so depending on what they ask you, there is 2 ways to work it out. If they only ask you work out the accumulated, use this formula, get the final. If they ask you to work out, so what you could have done as well is, so you worked this out, if you needed to find out what the interest was, is when you just subtract the 5,000 again. And you will also get your answer would have been that one. Okay, so depending on what you need to get to, there is various options to calculate that. One slight thing that sometimes happens in the exam is, and let's not call it nasty, but what they can do is ask you to work out simple interest or work out the cumulative, and they give you nearly those three as options with another one. And then they're testing not just that you can work out the sum, but that you can also nearly know what you're working out. So that is it only the interest that you worked out? Is it the accumulated? Do you know how to add the initial amount as well? Okay, let's quickly just check in. Are you guys happy with that? I think the simple interest is really straightforward compared to some of the others, but just be very careful again how they ask it in your assignments and in. Okay, you would have now done the assignments already, but in the mock exam and the exam as well. And if you guys have any feedback on your assignments, if that is in any format that you can send it to me, that will be great. You can, if it's possible, send it to the WhatsApp group or to any of my email addresses. That will actually be awesome. Yes, questions? There was a hand, now the hand is gone, but please, if you want to ask, you can. No worries about that. Okay, so the next one that we can go into is discount. So discount working very similar in the sense, so the only thing with discount is, as it tells you, you paying less. So with simple interest, you basically get an amount, interest is calculated, but you add onto it. With simple discount, just the opposite in a sense, is you've got an amount, you get discount on it, and you in the end you will pay a bit less on that amount. So again, they can ask you two things in your assignments and your exams, is to work out the discount or to work out the total. So again, let's quickly see. I'm just quickly looking at, again, one of your exercises. So let's quickly see if I can get to that exercise on page 11. So I will just quickly read it as well. So they ask, determine the simple discount on a loan of 3,000 due in 8 months at a discount rate of 15%. Okay, so determine, so we're looking at 2.1. So determine the discount, so the simple discount. So you only need to work out the simple discount of a loan that is 3,000 Rand. They tell us that the simple discount rate is 15%. So the 15% is 15 divided by 100. And they tell us the timeline is 8 months. Okay, so like in days, we used 365 for days. In months, we obviously going to go to how many months there are, and that is 12. So we need to say 8 months is 8 divided by 12. Okay, and that will then give you your discount that you needed to work out. So let's quickly work that out. It is, sorry, actually example 2.1, not exercise. So that would have been 3,000. We've done that. So 15 divided by 100. Let's just take this out again. And so when we calculate that, it is actually 300. Okay, so we have a discount of 300. If they've asked us what is the discounted value in total, we would have then said, okay, the value of P is the start value minus the discount, which would be then the 3,000 minus the 300, which would have given you 2,700. What they can also ask you is to say, but what is the, and this comes only with discount, is what was now the actual simple interest rate that you nearly paid. So what is the equivalent simple interest rate? So in this instance, we now need to nearly work out what we did here, but we will need to work out what is your interest rate. So we will need to work out what's your interest. Interest we know is the start minus the end. So that was the 3,000 minus the 2,700, which is 300 Rand. And then we would have needed to say, okay, but what is, how are we going to calculate that? So we know that if you go back to the interest of a previous one, remember this. So what we nearly want to work out is R. That is the interest rate that we want to work out. So we've got the interest of 300. This is now, we've got the P of 2,700. Okay, so wait, let me just go a step back. Okay, so I want to calculate R. So R will be I divided by PT. Okay, because I basically are dividing by PT on this side, so I must divide by PT on the other side. So that is how I will calculate R. So we know that I is 300. We know that P is 2,700. And we know that the time period was 8 divided by 12. Okay, so that is supposed to give us our interest. So again, going to the calculator, 300 divided by 2,700 times 8 divided by 12. So 8 divided by 12 is 0.6666. And so if I now work that out, it's 0.1666 continuous. And if we need to put it in a percentage, we times by 100, which will then give us 16.67%. Okay, so it's just showing you that they can ask us from a simple discount to get to an interest rate as well. Okay, so that is simple interest, simple discount. Then the next one is on counting days. I'm not really going to go too much into this. There is nice examples and exercises, but what it comes down to is that instead of saying 8 months, what they can say in simple interest and discount is to say you took out the loan on the 21st of April and you are paying it back on the 16th of December. Now work out what the interest will be or what the discount will be. So again, just remember there is a table and it should be as part of appendixes to get to how many days that will be, because that will now give you a number of days. When we put it into any of the calculations, we will just need to say that we divide by 365. So if that is 150 days, we will just say 150 divided by 365 to get to that term that we are using in the equation. So for counting days, again, do you guys know if your exam is open book or not? Sure, it's very difficult to not have open book with tables and stuff that you need to have. So something like this is very difficult or time consuming if you can't use the table. Okay, cool, open book. So in your appendix, there is a appendix with how to basically count the days. So what is been also great, if it's open book, then you are allowed to use all my summaries. You're allowed to use the formula page that I will also provide you later on. Okay, and you get a formula sheet. Okay, cool. If you can, when you get that formula sheet, if you can send that to me, then I can just add some comments to that formula sheet. That will be awesome. So if you can send that to a WhatsApp group later on when I add all of you guys, please send that, and then I'll just make notes on that formula sheet for you. And if I see something missing, I will also add that. Okay. So the next one that we go into is the the compound interest. And again, with compound interest, what we also see is some some extra information that I included, just so that, again, if there's something weird from a definition point of view that they want to throw in, that you have it. On compound interest, the important formula that we will work with is that one, is that your final value that you're working towards will be present value with the interest component, that is linked to that. And I will go through an example nearly of that, of one of the exercises. I just quickly want to let my cat out of the room. I'll be back in a few seconds. Okay, great. So the other thing, also just be wary of, if they ask in the end if you need to give the final amount or if you need to give the interest amount. Again, there can be, both of them can be in your final set of answers. So again, we must just be very careful when we do that, and what you guys then give as final answer. I've included for you in this is, and it's basically out of your textbook or your study guide, the definitions, and this is just, again, if they are not all on the formula page, I will add them for you, just that you see if you're working with a different time period, what how to use that. This one is now, if something is a monthly period, you can have a daily, you can have half yearly, you can nearly have, what is there, another one is probably quarterly. So there's a few ways that they can ask it. And I think it's just important that we have all of them. The other thing that I think it's important, and I'll look for an example like that if there isn't one already here, is that sometimes they give you certain information, and you will need to work out something else. So depending on what you need to work out, there is different ways. So if you need to work out the n, you need to use the ln functions or the log functions. So depending on what they are asking you, you need to work out something different. But some of these formulas are also already built into your financial calculators. So we will, in the next session, definitely cover how you can use your financial calculators, specifically also when we go into annuities and all those kind of things. We will use that. Okay, so let's, on this one, so let me add a new slide. I just want to make space. So I'm gonna look at example 3.2, and let's just go through it and just let's just see if that is working. No, not yet. Okay, so in example 3.2, they ask us, okay, 1,000 Rand is invested for 1 year at 8% per annum, but the interest is compounded semi-annually. So that means every 6 months. How much interest is earned? Okay, so the first thing that they ask us is how much interest is earned. So let's go back to, I'm going to quickly copy that out and into this. Let's see if I can just do that. Okay, so how much interest is earned? So we will need to work out what is the final, and then we subtract what was the beginning. Okay, so let's just get the pen back again. Okay, so let's go to work it out. So we say they told us it's 1,000. They told us the interest rate is 8% per annum. So 8% per annum, and they tell us every 6 months. It's twice a year. And so let's quickly sort that out. So 0.08 divided by 2 plus 1 times 1,000. So that would have been my final answer. If we then need to get I, it is S minus P, and that would have been 1040, and that would have been 40 Rand interest in that first period. Okay, so now they can say, but after 2 years, after 3 years, and those kind of things. So then we just need to make sure that depending on what they ask, that we include the N. So that's a very simple look at compounding interest, with the view of looking at something that is not the ordinary 5 years or 6 years. It is built in year. It is twice a year. So that nearly is the compound interest component, but we just see how that works. Let's then go into nominal and effective. This is definitely, I nearly always mark this as a question in your exam. It will definitely be one of the questions. But luckily, again, for this, there is a formula that you can use. It is a given. I think as when you send me the formula page, what is also sometimes important is that in this, there might be, so they might ask you that this is the traditional way how we work it out. What they can do is to say, but wait, let's not work out the effective rate, let's work out what was phenomenal. So they can give you then say what is the effective rate, and you need to work out the nominal so that you then nearly can put the effective in and work out the rest. So I think it's also important that when you look at it, look at it from what is the possible other thing that they can ask. Because I have seen them asking that in the exam. I'll go and check on on all the different calculators, because there is definitely, I know from my HP, there is a way to, if you put in the effective to get the nominal, if you put in the nominal to get the effective. So I will definitely go back into that, and give you guidance on that. I will also check if there is a way, this is just for myself. I like Excel a lot, so I know there's in Excel also functions. So it might even be that I set up a spreadsheet or two for you with certain things built in, and then you just put in the percentage of a one, and it calculates the other and the other way around. So I'll just see how I can do something like that for you as well. So the only thing nearly that is left in this, and yes, we went through it very quickly. So please, if we need to set up a 30-minute chat in next week or the week after, feel free to send me an email. But the last one that is part of this study unit is for continuous compounding. Again, what is important here is they do give you all the information. So what they can do is, we've done counting days in the first or study unit 2. So they can do the counting days here, where your period that they refer to is, and when it is in that part nearly, is in days. But again, so if I tell you 21 April to 5 September, you go to that table, the appendix table, and you count the days, and then again, just divide by 365. So that T would have been, if it was years, it would have been 1, 2, 3, or 5. If it is days, we will count the days and divide by 365. If it is months, we will divide by 12. So if I say to you 48 months, we will just say 48 divided by 12. If it is half years and they tell you we're working with, say, 24 half years, we will just say 24 divided by 2. So I think the only thing that in here might be the thing that can catches you out is on the time period, because the rest is again very similar to what we have done in the other sections. Okay, so it is 11, so let me just get a quick check in. Did this help? Do we need to change a bit the format? Are you happy that we're covering enough at the moment to to just get through the work so that it makes a bit more sense, we will definitely go in lots more of physical examples closer to the exam. And now that if you guys stay on 2 June, the 1520 would have been finished by 23 May. So that gives us then also a week and a bit, but it's only 1630 that we can focus on. So did this help? Is there things that we need to change? Things that we need to add? Anything that you guys want to add to that? Okay, perfect. I will share all the notes as well, so don't worry about that. It will be on the My UNISA or through the Western Cape portal. If you can't get access to the Western Cape portal because you're not part of the Western Cape area, don't worry. You can just send an email to the ctntat@unisa.ac.za. They will add you to the site that you can get access to everything. So please, it's not only for Western Cape. We run it out of Western Cape, but if you are at any other regional office, you are welcome to join these sessions. To get access to some of the material through the Western Cape, they just need to give you basically access rights when you can. Else, I will also post it on our WhatsApp group. And again, WhatsApp group, my email information is on here. It's also in the chat. Okay, then that is it for today. I don't think there is sessions next week, Saturday, because of the long weekend. But we will definitely have after the long weekend. So I think so the 29th is next week. So yeah, around the 5th or the 6th of May, we will continue. But in the meantime, if you want to have that 30-minute check-ins with me, please send me a mail this Monday and Wednesday between 5 and 7. The next Monday, I think, is a public holiday, but we can do the Wednesday again as well, between 5 and 7. Great. Thanks, everyone. Have a good Saturday, and we'll chat soon again. Okay. Have a wonderful day.